What are the 3 best ways to estimate rents? What are the 3 best ways to estimate what the rent value should be? Do you have rentals? Are you an investor as well? I am a realtor as well as an investor, working out of the Boulder County area, and I really dive in deep into these rentals and what the market value should be and how to handle what's going on in my market. So here are the 3 tips of places to look to determine what is the best rent for you, regardless of what market you're in. Number 1, look at the rent estimators. These are broad, big picture idea of what to expect for rent for given a 2-bedroom, a 1-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, whether it's house, condo, townhome. So these are great resources to get a ballpark idea. Rentometer, Zumper, and you can get estimates from some of the other places as well to find out generally what prices are for rentals, and sometimes they'll give you a range. But unfortunately that's not real accurate and doesn't help tremendously on actually setting a price for yourself, because it does wrap in a whole bunch of factors that really can differentiate one from another. For example, location, location, location. It's the number 1 thing in real estate. So you really have to know your location versus the other places. What about updates? If it hasn't been updated since the 60s versus you just have a brand new, modern, beautiful upgrade with high-end appliances and nice features besides just white walls, well, that you can charge more for that. You got to know your market. You got to know where and why and what your clientele are. Who are the people that would be renting from there? And what is your competition really? Because if they're looking around, if someone's looking around for a rental and they're going to an old 60s place versus a modern new rental, obviously if at the same price, they're going to pick probably the modern new rental. You got to know the difference between your competition and what people are looking for in your market in that neighborhood. You can use rent websites. Now this is how I really like to dive down deep, is to keep track of rents in a spreadsheet. And I actually record whether it's updated or not. And I make sure I know where the locations are so I can get an estimate of like Northwest Boulder, Northeast Boulder. I'll even dive down into a specific condo complex, the Whittier Square complex, Aspen Grove complex. So I know exactly what's going on in that particular market. And that's for condos. That nice thing about that is you can really compare location easily if you're working in a certain neighborhood. Like the Newlands neighborhood, this is what rents tend to be, versus Southeast Boulder. You can determine, all right, that's the location, so anything similar in updates is probably pretty accurate for what you can get for yours. So Zillow, apartments.com, forrent.com, and there's a lot of other ones, but some of them are related to Zillow. Zillow owns like Trulia and HotPads and such, so you might realize they're the same things, just marketed in a different way. I would avoid things like Craigslist because there's a lot of scams there. So as a landlord myself, my photos have been stolen and then they get advertised for $1,000 rent less per month. It's a scam, so they force people to pay money before they see it because obviously the scammer doesn't have access to the unit. So there's a trick to that as a landlord. I'll show that in another video, what you need to do to protect yourself in your photos. Take a look at those websites. The more accurate you can get as far as similar ones can really make a difference on that price. And I can go down to $20 differences on a $2,000 rental on what's going to work and how do I get the best market and how do I get people to pick mine over another one based on upgrades and all that. So that's the ideal. Now, if you're planning on using a property manager, definitely call the property managers and interview them by starting to ask, well, what can I get for this property? What are you seeing? What they plan to rent your place for and whether you agree with that. They might undercut just to be able to get it filled so they can be done and not have any more work. Or are they doing something accurate or somewhat close to a proper estimate? Or do they not even have an estimate? I mean, like, there's a lot of property managers out there and they may not really do this. So vetting your property manager is very important. And there's another whole video about all the questions you need to go through on that. But for this, if you just want to find out the rents, you can call a property manager and ask him, what would this rent for? And what would you charge if I were to go and use you as the property manager? A good property manager is really going to know their numbers and know the rents in the area, what you can get for what your house is. If you like this content and want to keep learning more, please subscribe to my channel.